World of Worlds, Book 1 of the Arula series. By Amber Wallace. Chapter 1.
Karma Windale watched the little hand on the clock tick around the black and white surface. Time could not go any slower. 10 minutes until 2 o'clock, and it felt like an eternity. Science was her last class of the day, and she hated it. She didn't even need the credits to graduate, which made the class feel even more pointless. So instead of paying attention, she stared at the unmoving clock, waiting for class to finally be over. She glanced down at her notebook and continued sketching. Drawing was the only thing that helped pass the time. Bring! The sharp ring of the school bell startled Karma. And remember, class, her teacher, Ms. Yearling, called over the noise of students gathering their things. This will be on your final exam, so you'd better study. As Karma slung her bag over her shoulder, Ms. Yearling's voice stopped her. Miss Windale, a word, please. Karma froze. With a sigh, she stepped forward as the rest of the class funneled out the door. She approached the teacher's desk, locking eyes with Ms. Yearling's beady black gaze. I know you don't need the class credits to graduate, Miss Windale, but when I see a student failing my class, it concerns me, Ms. Yearling said, her tone sharp. Her gaze flickered to the notebook in Karma's hands. May I see what has distracted you from paying attention? Reluctantly, Karma handed over her notebook. Ms. Yearling snatched it away and flipped through the pages. Her raised eyebrows were the only sign of surprise. Well, she finally said, handing it back, those are good drawings, I'll give you that. But that does not give you the right to doodle whenever you feel like ignoring my class. If I catch you again, I'll take it away. Understood? Karma nodded and quickly walked out the door. The hallways were packed with students rushing to grab their belongings before heading to the buses. Unlike them, Karma usually took her time. But today, she had a mission. She needed to get home as quickly as possible. She rushed to her locker, but before she could reach it, she accidentally bumped into one of the school's many bullies, Marge Holler. Hey, look, Marge sneered, grabbing Karma's arm. It's Karma. Let's see if anything bad happens to us. Her entourage of wannabes laughed on cue. Marge was tall, with blonde hair always tied into a ponytail and sharp brown eyes. No one dared to tell her what to do. She ruled the school, and she knew it. Oh, what's this? Marge snatched Karma's notebook and flipped through its pages. Give it back, Marge, Karma growled. Marge looked up from the sketches with a cruel smirk. You want it? She taunted. Go get it. With a swift motion, she tossed the notebook into a nearby trash can. Karma gasped and ran to retrieve it. Hey, look! A raccoon digging through the trash! Marge cackled. Her entourage laughed along before strutting away. Karma didn't care about the stares from the other students. All that mattered was getting her book back. Finally, she'd pulled it from the trash. It was slightly damp and reeked, but flipping through the pages, she saw that nothing was ruined. By the time she made it outside, the buses were already gone. She didn't mind. Walking home was better than dealing with the bus anyway. Karma lived in a small town in Georgia called Lakeside. Like all small towns, everyone knew everyone. But in Karma's case, few people really knew her. She had always been the quiet one, blending into the background, and she liked it that way. Her parents, however, worried about her isolation. They feared she'd never find friends or do anything meaningful. She reassured them time and time again that she had a plan for her life. What she didn't tell them was that her plan involved disappearing completely once high school was over. Only 3 weeks remained until graduation. Then, she'd be free. Karma turned left onto the bridge that stretched across Lake Jerome. During fishing season, the place was bustling with fishermen, and in the summer, it became a popular swimming spot. She crossed the bridge, walked another mile, and turned right down a suburban street. Her house was near the entrance, nestled against the woods. As she reached the front door, a familiar sound greeted her. A loud bark. Before she could react, a German shepherd came bounding toward her, leaping up to lick her face. Buster! She laughed, rubbing the excited dog's head. Yes, hi, it's good to see you too, boy. Buster barked happily, his tail wagging. Mom, I'm home! Karma called as she stepped inside. She found her mother in the kitchen putting away dishes. Oh, hi, dear, her mother said absent-mindedly. I didn't hear you come in. Karma was the spitting image of her mother, tall, red-haired, and pale. The only difference was their eyes. Her mother's were a warm brownish hazel, while Karma had inherited her father's striking green eyes. Upstairs, country music blared from her older sister Alice's room. Alice, a second-year nursing student, looked like their mother, but had their father's short stature. Karma, her mother called, can you get your brother off the bus? I'm stuck cleaning this mess. She motioned to the chaotic kitchen. Karma nodded and headed back out. Soon the bus arrived, and her 9-year-old brother Dennis hopped off with boundless energy. Karma! Dennis cried. Dennis! She called back, opening her arms as he ran to hug her. They walked home hand in hand, Dennis excitedly chattering about his day. 2 hours later, the family sat around the dinner table. Karma suffered through most of it as Alice babbled about college. Even Dennis looked bored. They exchanged a glance before quietly mimicking Alice's words, making exaggerated faces. Hey, you two, Alice snapped. If I have to listen to your lame stories without making faces, then you can too. Their mother sighed. That's enough, both of you. She shot Karma and Dennis a warning look as they stifled their laughter. After dinner, Karma retreated to her room, fidgeting with the necklace around her neck. A silver key hung from the chain, shaped like a dragon curled around the top. She glanced out the window. My time here is almost up. Sighing, she reached under her bed and pulled out a satchel. She packed the essentials, then grabbed her most prized possession, her book. It was a hardcover, deep red with black outlined edges. On the cover, a dragon curled in a circle, fangs bared. The dragon matched the one on her necklace. Karma lifted the key over her head, unlocked the book's latch, then slipped it into the satchel. She swung the bag over her shoulder and headed for the back door. I'm going outside for a while, she called. Her mother glanced up from the living room where she was watching a crime show. Okay, but don't stay out too long. You have school tomorrow. I know, Karma said. I'll be back before dark. She stepped into the woods, her sanctuary. The deeper she went, the denser and darker the trees became. Eventually, she reached an old, abandoned treehouse. Using a hooked stick to unlatch the rope ladder, she climbed up and pulled it in after her. The treehouse was simple but cozy. A wooden table, chairs, cabinets, and a rug covered the floor. She felt around under the table until she found a hidden key. Unlocking a cabinet, she pulled out a metal box with a number lock. She entered the code and the lid popped open. Inside were 6 glowing orbs, each a different color. I'm running low, she thought, but it won't matter soon. Taking out 2 orbs, she whispered, Arena Field. She tossed one onto the floor. It exploded into swirling colors, forming an oval portal. Taking a deep breath, Karma stepped through.